Star Wars: The Heart of the Jedi by Kenneth C. Flint. Chapter 9. You speak my language? Luke said to the tall warrior. Both his surprise and a note of renewed hope were clear in his voice. It was learned from one of you, came the slowly enunciated reply. Well, let's try that again. It was learned from one of you, came the slowly enunciated reply as the being searched out the right words of a tongue little used. A strange, holy man of your kind, who lived alone in the wastes, taught me. The wizard, we called him. You mean Ben Kenobi? Asked Luke, yet more amazed. Yes, of all your kind, he was special, touched by the gods. If he was considered special, Luke said, then why did you tear his home apart? We did not, the other said. We removed some objects we felt were of great meaning to him, to keep them safe. Other bands who did not know him raided his dwelling later. Our tribe recognized a power about him and left him alone. He helped us in return. He became our friend. The tall one drew up, adding proudly, and it was I, Jatal Or, who was chosen to learn from him, so we might speak together. Rarely has this been done by the Gorfas people. Old Ben, said Luke to himself. Then to the warrior he said earnestly, he was also my friend. He taught me too. I believe this, the being replied. I sensed about you the same power I felt in him. It is part of the reason why you are still alive. Only our chieftain, our Otal, will decide if it will keep you so. Through this brief exchange, other warriors of the race had been entering the room. There were some 50 of them now, filling the open area before the piled cushions. All waited patiently in a kind of reverential hush. The one they awaited now made his own entrance, coming in through a curtained opening in the back wall. He was of thicker set form than the rest, clad in a full, flowing robe, apparently made of the gray-green hides from several dewback lizards, which had been stitched together. Its voluminous skirts still barely wrapped the beefy figure with its broad shoulders and barrel chest. The being's masked head was massive, square, and topped with a circle of spikes of gleaming silver, as if they were a crown. He stopped as he came in, and his gaze fell on Skywalker. He spoke out in a jumbled mass of deep, booming consonants, which still managed to convey his obvious surprise. The one called Jatal Or translated for Luke. Our hotel is much amazed that our desert friends did not clean your bones, Pale One. The tall warrior then returned a long speech to which the hotel listened. The chieftain then replied, maybe? Stepping forward to look the young Jedi up and down, more searchingly as he did. I told him you had escaped from both the dune maggots and the stakes, Jatal Or supplied to Luke. But whether this was done by force or by cunning, I did not know. He said that either way, your powers must be unusual, for such a thing has never happened before within this clan's memory. I was lucky, Luke said modestly. Then you should not have stretched that luck by returning here, Jatal Or told him. The Otal turned and strode back to the cushions. He eased his bulk slowly down on the pile. It flattened considerably as it took the weight. He stared again at Luke for some moments, then spoke out demandingly. He wishes to know what you were after, the tall warrior explained. Was it your weapons, that floating board of yours? Something more, Otal, Luke said directly to the chief. An object that your people took from the house of a friend of mine. He pointed. That milk crystal bowl there. Jatal Or translated. The Otal glanced towards the bowl, and then back to Luke. His reply came with much tone of indignation. Took? The big man interpreted for Luke, supplying the indignant tone as well. Stole is what you mean, don't you? Your kind always supposes us thieves, bandits, cutthroats of the worst kind. You did scavenge things from Ben Kenobi's place, didn't you? Luke countered, this time speaking directly to Jatal Orr. And maybe from my uncle's moisture farm too? Ah, so you were of that Anchorhead farm dwelling, the tall warrior said with a raised eyebrow. We thought they all were dead, killed by the white-armored warriors years ago. But it was other tribes, not our own, which... The Otal put in a testy interruption here. Jatal Orr bowed low. I have forgotten myself, said the warrior to Luke. Our chieftain wishes to understand. He proceeded to pass Luke's words onto his Otal. The other listened, nodded, then replied. Yes, he says, Jatal Orr translated. Certainly we went through that long-abandoned place, and the one of the old wizard too. It was our right. Those places were our own until you stole them from us. We didn't do that, said Luke, thrown on the defensive now. My uncle's grandfather bought that farm from the land dealers, who got all their lands by running off or killing any of our people who lived upon them. The clan chief responded bitterly through his warrior. So it was all over Tatooine when the Offworlders came. The best of the lands and the dwellings were taken by them, and we forced out into the worst territories left. I never knew about any of that, Luke told him earnestly. None of us know anything about you. Nothing about your customs, your language, how you live. No, so you just assumed we were savages, or worse, less than beasts. It's not entirely our fault, Luke argued. You hide away out here, never make any contact with settlers. Wear masks. The mask, as you call it, shields us from sand and sun, filters air, preserves our breath's moisture, and keeps us alive in the harsh climate that you have driven us to. We hide to preserve what life and possessions we still have. And if we do take revenge upon those who have defiled our homes and shrines, then that would be our right, as few others are left to us. Behind the listening clans, and all but ignored by them, another masked warrior came into the room. He had a face piece that had been damaged somehow, a ragged tear marring the cloth of one cheek, one eye goggle knocked askew, and 2 spikes gone. As the talk continued, the late comer quietly joined with the rest, and stood intently listening. Look, I'm sorry for the way you've been treated, Luke was explaining through Jatal Orr. I really am, but now that I know more about you, maybe I can help. We could work together, to have a better relationship. We have no wish to be closer to you, the big warrior passed back from the chief in a brusque way. All that we wish is to be left alone. All right then, Luke said agreeably. We could stay separate, but we could still live together with more mutual respect. There could be more communications, maybe. Trade, I mean. Most of your raiding is to get goods and tools for survival, isn't it? Maybe some understanding could make life easier for you. When Jatal Orr translated this, there were murmurings in the assembly at the offer. Some sounded pro, some con, but the cons seemed predominant. The Otal listened, considered, and then shook his head. No, he responded firmly through Jatal Orr. The clans of the Gorfas have lost much, but not their true spirit. We will not open ourselves to see that spirit despoiled for a reward, no matter how great. The immense spirit of pride welling out from the chief also filled the robust, rolling voice of the warrior as he went on. You and your people will come and go, but we always been here, and always will be. We are as with the sand of our desert. The ill winds may blow it from place to place, but still the grains endure. Luke listened gravely, musing to this. He sighed and nodded his acceptance. I understand you, Otal. Better than you might think, he said sincerely. I admire your knowing so certainly just who you are and grasping so fiercely for it. All right. If you won't deal, then, what about me? What will you do? Your violation of our clan precincts should mean swift execution, the other replied. But the words of Jatal Or weigh heavily. Like him, I also feel the strange energy of the old wizard in you, and it does seem as if destiny has decreed something else for you. If a greater power is at work here, we dare not defy it. You must have at least some chance to win yourself free. How? By a trial of some kind? Luke guessed. The Otal explained. Jatal Or translated tersely. You against our clan's champion. To the death. Should you win, your transport and weapons will be returned, and you will be let go. Against your champion? Said Luke. He ran an apprising eye up towards the towering form of the warrior beside him. Let me guess. It's you. When Jatal Or translated that, the Otal gave a robust laugh. He clapped his hands sharply and called out, Dovra Akru! The curtains of the doorway shivered as someone started through. It couldn't get worse, murmured Luke. Out through the curtain stepped a figure who made Jatal Or seem almost of average size. Both broad and tall, he towered over Luke's comparatively slight form. It's worse, Luke said. Meet Dovra Akru, introduced the interpreter, our finest warrior. The huge warrior's response was a low, sharp growl, like that of an irritated rancor that had missed a meal. Nice to meet you, Luke said politely, forcing his mouth up somewhat in a tight smile. The muscles of Han Solo's face tightened with effort as he heaved upwards on the piece of luggage. Jeez, Leia, he grasped through the train. What do you got packed in there? Planetary cores? He managed to wrestle the big traveling case out of the cart of the baggage train and set it down next to a half-dozen others already lined up on the hangar bay floor. The Millennium Falcon sat with boarding ramp open, ready to receive the cargo of luggage. Gohan and Leia stood by it, watching Solo work. They're only clothes, she told him defensively. All necessary for the mission. Oof, grunted Solo, hefting another one out. Necessary? What happened to traveling light? This is a protocol expedition, not a military one, she explained. There are many formalities to be observed, including the proper dress. That's true, old man, Gowan put in. You know, you might do with a bit of a sprucer yourself. Do you possess garments besides those you have on? Han looked down at his battered old boots, worn trousers and vest, and frayed shirt. Yeah, I possess other garments, he replied, acerbically. Look, old man, when you're in a war, there's no time for a wardrobe. At least not for a fighting man. Excuse me, said Gohan, bridling himself at the insinuation. Do you mean to imply that I... Leia quickly stepped in. Look, boys, could we just get the things aboard? There are only 3 hours left until we're supposed to be taking off. Han shrugged. Okay, princess. Whatever you say. He picked up one case with an effort, using both hands. And then he looked to Gohan. You want to give me a hand with these, pal? The other stepped over. He picked up a case in each hand as if they weighed nothing, shot Solo a disdainful glance, and walked off towards the ramp. Han glared after him with resentment, then looked around at Leia. Ah, he took the light ones, he said with scorn. In reply, Leia took up a case herself with apparent ease, gave him a little grin, and followed after Gohan. Han watched her go, looked down at his own case in disbelief, shook his head and started after her. But he stopped as a voice called out to him. Han, wait a minute! Solo looked around to see Wedge striding towards him. He stopped to wait, letting the other two go up into the ship. Wedge reached him, eyeing the case in his hand. They got you playing your own porter as well now? He asked. My idea, said Han, setting it down. I don't want anyone else even getting near the Falcon before we take off. Do you know where we're going yet? Han smiled somewhat smugly. I'm the only one who does. I told Mon Mothma about it, and she agreed to keep the location to myself until until we're well out of here. Not even Leia knows. Wedge nodded. Good idea. Don't take chances. He moved closer to speak more confidentially. There's something odd going on around here, but that gives me a bad feeling. They found one of Blue Flight dead today. Dead? Han said, surprised. Fell down a maintenance shaft, it looked like. 20 stories at least. Broke his neck, along with about everything else. Poor devil must have lain there a day or two before someone found him. But there's something strange about it. Not an accident? Asked Han. Wedge shrugged. I don't know about that. The thing is, he took his fighter on routine patrol the day before yesterday. No question of it. Ground crew checked him out, even talked to him. So? Prompted Han. So, deck records say he never came back. And, he added, his ship is missing. Han frowned at that. You're right about that bad feeling, he said. I don't know what it means, but I don't like it. Should we tell the princess? She's got enough problems to think about. I'm just glad we're taking off soon. And, I'll tell you, I won't set a course for that meeting spot until we've zigzagged around first. I want to be damn sure there's nobody on our tail. Very wise, said Wedge. Well, I've got to get Gold Squadron prep to escort you. See you later. Yeah, said Han as the young pilot started away. And keep me posted on whatever else you hear. Wedge threw an acknowledging wave back to him, and he went out of the bay. Solo picked up his case again and headed for the ramp. At its base, he met Leia, just coming back down. She looked past him to the dwindling figure of Wedge. Wasn't that Captain Antilles? She asked. Oh, him? Yeah, guess it was, he said absently. Well, what did he want? She demanded. Nothing, really, Solo casually lied. Just checking on progress. I told him we'd be ready to go in time. Not if Chewie and 3PO don't get back soon, she said in an unsettled way. Where are they, Han? I told you to relax, he soothed. They'll get here. Probably just had trouble getting apart or something. It'll be okay. Trust me. She gave him a skeptical eye. I've heard that before. Then more somberly she added, I'm just worried something will go wrong. This is so big, Han. So important. She sighed regretfully. I wish that Luke were here. Yeah, me too, he agreed. But he's lots better off being well out of this.